How Planet Fitness fixed their reputation.
Planet Fitness is perhaps the most memed gym in existence.
Which they kind of brought on themselves because they were so desperate to make themselves like different from other gyms out there and not for bodybuilders and only designed for the average person. So yeah, I know, I'm not surprised that they are the most memed gym in existence.
Everything from the lunk alarm sounding like an air raid siren every time somebody makes a noise, to the free pizza and bagels, lack of free weights, and shutting out members for being too fit. Planet Fitness has been the laughingstock in the fitness industry for the last 10 years or so. Heck, even I have made 3 different videos clowning on the franchise in the past because of a lot of their ridiculous commercials and gym rules.
You like big muscles?
Or the platinum package. 100% of the fee goes to 75% of the total cost.
I make your little muscle into big muscle.
But right now,
the Planet Fitness commercials are so bad. I remember watching those. I used to go to Planet Fitness. I actually loved the gym. It was 2 stories. It was never crowded. I always had everything I needed. But man, those commercials were so cringy.
Planet Fitness is starting to turn their reputation around. Now let's rewind to where it all began. The franchise officially opened up in 1992 as just a regular gym, but later went on to tailor towards a larger audience. Because the founders, Michael and Mark Grondal, noticed that experienced gym-goers, particularly bodybuilders, were scaring off other members. And because they tend to show up almost every day, they filled out the facilities, which meant the gyms became less attractive for the average guy just starting out.
It also makes sense not to cater towards bodybuilders because 1, they will come in all the time and use up all the equipment, and 2, if you cater towards people that aren't bodybuilders, then they're more likely to forget about their membership or not come in very often. So they're paying the money but not actually using the facility. And at only $10 a month, although I think it's $15 now, it's so little money that people are probably going to forget or not worry about the amount that they're losing every month in the membership fee, and so they just hold on to the membership even if they're not using the facility. I feel like it's actually a really good business model that actually worked out surprisingly well.
So with their new genius idea, they made the franchise cater their branding towards being judgment-free, where all sorts of people were welcome to come in and use their facilities. Except bodybuilders, which they rebranded to calling lunks. And they even made an alarm system that people would use if somebody was grunting or making excessive noise.
Like, really? A pen?
And then they cut down on the pricing tremendously and removed a lot of the old school type gym equipment, which meant their gyms now cater towards beginners or people who weren't showing up to the gym, but they were also so cheap that people wouldn't bother to cancel their memberships because very few would even bat an eye at $10 or $15 per month. A pretty brilliant business idea if you ask me. But
plus every other gym costs like between $40 and $100 a month, so $10 a month, especially if you use the facilities. When I was at Planet Fitness, I would go probably 3 to 5 times per week, and man, at only $10 per month, it was an absolute steal. It had everything I need. The bathrooms were amazing, showers, 2 stories full of equipment, cardio sections. Like, it's a good gym, and unless you're like an extreme level bodybuilder or power lifter, it has everything you could ever want.
Here's where the franchise almost fell apart. Because of a lot of their policies, design, and content, people in the fitness and gym industry started calling out Planet Fitness for what they were doing. And the brand started getting a very bad rep from the bodybuilding industry, especially for being the soft type of gym for people who didn't aspire to actually get into shape.
But I feel like that's not an issue, because if bodybuilders hate your gym, that's fine, because the gym hates bodybuilders. Like, the bodybuilders don't want to be part of the gym, and the gym doesn't want bodybuilders to be part of the gym. So that actually works out pretty well. You're alienating a customer base that wasn't your customer base anyway. It would be like if a makeup brand alienated men. You'd be like, yeah, but basically all of the people buying your product are women, so it doesn't really matter that men are alienated.
Which is saying something, since bodybuilding isn't exactly about getting in shape either. But the Grondal brothers thought that they were doing the right thing by giving the average person, who perhaps would never have stepped into a gym otherwise, to have the opportunity to do so in a less hardcore environment. And it's not like a beginner or somebody who just looks to get a bit healthier is gonna mind that the gym doesn't have 150-pound dumbbells or squat racks. It was cheap, convenient, and they even had an offer where if you pay a little extra, you could bring a friend or family member whenever you wanted. Now, Planet Fitness still got a very bad reputation for being a gym aimed at keeping you mediocre and out of shape so you could keep paying your gym membership.
I feel like that's not exactly a fair criticism, because I would keep paying my gym membership even if I got into really good shape. I don't think there's some grand conspiracy that Planet Fitness is trying to keep you out of shape so you keep paying for the membership. If I'm part of a gym and I get in outstanding shape, I'm also going to keep paying for the membership. If I'm part of a gym and I'm not getting into great shape, then I'm also probably going to keep the membership. I'm actually probably more likely to cancel the membership if I feel like it's not working. So I feel like that's actually not that fair of a criticism.
But the fact that they gave out pizza to members, had Tootsie Rolls at the counter, and God forbid if somebody brought in a water jug, the lunk alarm was also a big contributor to the brand going viral on YouTube for people usually trying their very best to enter the gym and set off the alarm as fast as possible.
Okay, I get being annoyed about the pizza being available. They also did like bagel nights once a week. Yeah, so there was pizza like every week and bagels every week, I think, or every month. But also, I'm actually not opposed to them kicking out people that do this. If you go into a gym and start throwing weights around and making a lot of noise and disrupting stuff, you should be kicked out anyway. Hot take, in this situation, this guy is the asshole here. It is not Planet Fitness for kicking him out. It's him for going in and causing trouble.
YouTube for people usually trying their very best to enter the gym and set off the alarm as fast as possible. But here's when things get a bit interesting. Planet Fitness has now started to turn things around. During the P-word in 2020, they had to close down a lot of their facilities, and to save money and to keep up with new regulations, they closed down a lot of those weekly goodies which had become the laughingstock in the fitness industry, like giving out pizza and bagels every month. And apparently for most of the gyms, these things never returned. And actually, many Planet Fitness gyms are owned by individual owners, just like McDonald's does, where you can buy up one of the locations and you just pay the brand a monthly fee for using their name. This meant that most gyms just scrapped using the lunk alarm altogether because nobody actually found it any helpful. If
the Planet Fitness that I went to for years and years, because it was the closest and the cheapest, had a lunk alarm, but I think I heard it go off maybe once ever, and I'm fairly sure that was an accident because it was like 2 a.m. and there was nobody there. I don't think most Planet Fitnesses actually use the lunk alarm. It's just there because it was there when the building was built, and then it would be expensive to get rid of it, so like whatever, it could just be a relic of the past.
If anything, it was probably even more annoying to hear an alarm which indicated World War III rather than some guy who was just grunting a bit while benching. And this also meant that a lot of the rules they had about clothing, like you couldn't wear tank tops, were also scrapped, because most single owners didn't really care what sort of clothing somebody actually wore to the gym. And
most people didn't care anyway. I've worn tank tops to Planet Fitness for as long as I had a membership. This was like back in high school, so, you know, years and years ago, and nobody ever cared that I wore a tank top. I would venture that at least 80% of the people there were wearing tank top and shorts.
By this point, Planet Fitness had basically scared away 99% of the bodybuilders and powerlifting crowd, so very few even bothered getting a membership, which also meant that the gym actually kept up their persona even without all of the ridiculous rules.
Which, to be clear, I think was their objective. They don't want bodybuilders and powerlifters there. There was a time at which I was interested in owning a gym, so I spoke with some gym owners about it, and most of them said that the bodybuilders and powerlifters tend to cause the most trouble because they take up the most weights, they're there forever, a lot of them don't put their weights back, and it's just easier to deal with kind of the average Joe coming to get a quick workout in either before or after work.
Now fast forward a couple of years after the P-word, and we've seen a rise in science-based lifting, primarily because of guys like Jeff Nippard and Mike Israetel, though those people aren't even considered science-based anymore. Still, people realize that, hey, maybe machines aren't actually that bad, and potentially even better for growing muscle because of the higher stability, loadability, and simple technical execution. And it's not just for beginners, because it's easier to produce high mechanical tension for a specific muscle with a machine that has a set movement pattern. And this had some carryover with guys like Sam Sulek and TNF amongst others, who started to show up to Planet Fitness and getting great workouts done.
Planet Fitness also went through kind of a rebrand thing where they started adding like squat racks and also more chest press machines that would appeal to a broader range of individuals. And I think that was because their stock price actually started to kind of take a hit. I think probably their reputation did kind of damage them a little bit because there's a long stretch here where they're kind of nothing changed. But then recently in the last 18 months or so, they've been rebranding their gyms as a place that even serious lifters can go and get a good workout. And they've been doing really well with that, with it, you know, being up 75% in the past 18 months or so. So I think this is an intentional rebrand on their part to appeal to more people who are interested in fitness.
Despite the gym's poor reputation. If guys with hundreds and thousands of followers on social media are heading into Planet Fitness for a quick workout, or even just for doing their cardio, then that speaks volumes that it doesn't matter what sort of gym goer you are, if you're advanced or if you're a total beginner. Then when you realize that they're like half the price of an average commercial gym, at least in countries like the US and Canada, Planet Fitness isn't all that bad.
I think that's the huge appeal. It's got everything you need for an average lifter, and it also costs $15 a month. That is an outstanding deal for what it is.
And even more recently, a lot of these gyms have actually gotten free weights, like free weight benches, and some even have squat racks, which in the past they became infamous for calling intimidating. They're so big now that they can keep running their business model without being a stereotype, and they've basically stopped shutting people out for being too strong or too fit. If Sam Sulek, or God forbid the Trent twins, can have a decent session at Planet Fitness without getting kicked out, then so can you. Sure, it's not the most powerlifting friendly in the slightest, but that is also one of the most niche corners of the fitness and strength sport industry, so it's not like they're losing out on a lot of customers.
Relative to the number of people in the United States, there are basically zero powerlifters. Like if you were to round the percentage of powerlifters there are relative to the number of adults, you would would round down to zero. So it makes sense that Planet Fitness wouldn't care to cater to them. It's a very niche industry.
And in this economy, $15 or $20 per month is an amazing deal for a gym membership, which lets you train at multiple facilities across multiple states and even countries.
And I know a lot of people who do van life are also interested in Planet Fitness because for $25 a month, you get access to every single Planet Fitness there is. So you just park in their parking lot, go in, you don't even have to work out. It's $25 a month for unlimited shower access. Like, that's an amazing deal.
You get access to clean bathrooms, showers, and whatnot. And the gyms never seem to be full, so you can actually train there without spending half your time waiting for equipment. Yeah, Planet Fitness isn't the place you would like to max out your deadlifts, and it doesn't have the best exercise selection on earth, but if your goal is just health or just gaining muscle, then it has enough of what you need, and lots of different machine options. If your goal is to bench 405 and then brag about it to your grandkids for eternity, then it's not the right place for you. But for most casual gym goers who train for fun, it's a great place to be. And hey,
and I would even say not even like casual gym goers that go for fun, but even up to like relatively serious lifters, you can absolutely get an outstanding workout at Planet Fitness. I wouldn't consider myself super serious, but I consider myself on the upper end of a casual lifter, and I absolutely had no issues ever at Planet Fitness.
that Black Card deal actually has benefits which people use. And it's still much cheaper than most gyms. So I guess you could say that Planet Fitness is actually becoming a gym people respect. And its branding is much more about accessibility than it is shutting people out for being too buff. And in this economy, if you can save a couple of $100 per year by switching gyms, I think many would take that offer. But what do you guys think? Has Planet Fitness redeemed itself after years of ridicule on social media? Do you train at Planet Fitness yourself? If so, what is your experience? I would love to read some great stories from you guys in the comments, but until then, thank you all so much for watching.
That was how Planet Fitness ruined their reputation by Bat Guy. Great video. I mean, I've always been a huge fan of Planet Fitness. They've got a great facility. It's always clean, good machines, everything you could ever want, unless you're in like the upper 1% of lifters. So it's nice to see that people are coming back around to the brand. Thanks for watching.